Think you know Rolex? Think you know Oyster? Think you know Perpetual? You have no idea. I'm your host, Richard Prophet, the last Dragon 8 in the city, and we're going to get into it right here, right now. Let's go. Cheers, fam.
It's your host, Richard Prophet. Apex Predator, Last Dragon. I'm at my Lake Mayaka Park with my buddy Jen, and we're just like, look at the beautifulness of the lake, the birds, the sun, and the sky. Very nice, very nice.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Richard Prophet, the last Dragon, and landlord watch on wrist, appropriately done, because it's the first. It is New Year's Day, stateside here in the U.S. It is New Year's Day. Happy New Year's to everybody out there, in the community, in the world. Happy New Year. Wishing you prosperity, health, wealth, and happiness in this new year. And we are wearing the landlord watch on wrist, solid gold landlord on wrist. I usually wear landlord watch from the 1st to the 8th of the month, and then on the 9th, and the rest of the month, we mix it up, and throughout the collection we rotate. But the 1st through the 8th is when we do our landlording, so appropriate to have the landlord watch on wrist. All right, let's get into the video. First video of the year, and we're gonna get cracking, man. So check it out. You think you know Rolex? You have no idea. All right, that's where we're back. We are back. I'm your host, Richard Prophet, the last Dragon, and 8 is in the city, so we're back. All right, so let's get ourselves situated here. We are in Florida. We are in beautiful Sarasota. One of the ways you can tell we're in Florida, we are drinking the Florida water. You can only get this in Florida. Maybe in Georgia too, but definitely in New York, you can't get this. I believe I've had this in Georgia. Could be wrong. If you know, leave it in the comments below, but definitely not in New York. This is Florida water. All right, let's get situated here. Oh, let me show you what we're sipping on tonight. This is the year of the snake. So we picked this up. Check this out. 8-year-old Scotch. It's an 8-year-old Scotch. Beautiful red and gold box. Last year we had the year of the dragon. We had the year of the dragon Scotch. I didn't make a video on it. I wanted to, but hey, the year got away from me. But anyway, this is not gonna be a video for this. We'll make a video later, but I'm just gonna show you real quick. If you know that brand name, you know where it's from. Store I go to every day. That's how it looks on the inside. As you can see, we cracked it open last night. For the first, we cracked it open. Comes with this little thing here. And this is it. We'll make a whole video about it at a later date. But for right now, we're just going to jump into the video. Beautiful packaging there. Beautiful bottle, actually. Mm. Cheers, family. Oof. Good scotch. Nothing like a good scotch. 8-year-old scotch, 8-year-old. And I'm the eight. So there it is. All right, so we getting ourselves situated. I left my cutter. I think I left it last night, but anyway, we have this lighter. Has a punch on the bottom, which is cool. All right, so I'll get situated here. Over here. It's a little chilly in Florida tonight. It's like a cold front coming into Florida. Probably about, I don't know, 60 degrees, which is cold for Florida. It's okay though. All right, let's rock and roll. Without further ado, let's get started on the video. So, Prophet, what do you mean I don't know Rolex? All right, let me talk to you. Let's talk Rolex. Can we talk Rolex? We're talking Rolex. Let's put this nice packaging over here. All right, so today I want to discuss terms, Rolex terms that you think you know what they mean, but you're definitely using them incorrectly. Uh, let's jump into them. There's about 8 of them, so we're going to jump into them. All right, so number one. First, let me ask you, uh, how do you know a Rolex is waterproof? Right? Everybody's going to say, Prophet, everybody knows Rolex is waterproof. Okay. How do you know it's waterproof? Do they write it on the dial anywhere? Do they denote it? Oh, on the crown, it tells you it got the triple dot or the double dot. Okay, right. All right. We understand that. Right. You're right. But did you know that Rolex writes waterproof on the dial? Prophet, no, they don't. No, they don't. Okay. Here's where you got that wrong. Now, remember that. Keep that in your mind for a second. Rolex writes waterproof on the dial. Okay. Keep that in your mind for a second. Now, whether you get an oyster bracelet or jubilee bracelet or whatever, wait a second. Right there. Right there. Oyster bracelet or jubilee bracelet. Did you know that you're using the word oyster wrong? Prophet, what are you talking about? Did you know that oyster means waterproof? In the Rolex universe, oyster means waterproof. I mean, over the years, it has grown, I guess, to become it's morphed into oyster bracelet, which is this bracelet. But originally, the word oyster meant waterproof. They didn't write waterproof on it, but they wrote oyster, meaning that it was waterproof. Your prophet, you lost your mind. Okay, uh, let's get into it. I'm going to tell you exactly from Rolex that defines oyster as waterproof. Prophet, what are you talking about? I googled it. Okay, here's where I'm getting it, Jack. The Rolex magazine, issue number 12. Issue number 12. Go out, pick it up yourself. So we crack it open. CEO of Rolex right there. All right, sorry about that. So where were we? So we just saw the CEO of Rolex. Now, beyond the dial, 008, appropriately titled because I am the 8. So, persuasive words. Explore the world of Rolex. Crown right there. Okay, now, beyond telling the time, a Rolex dial displays a number of meaningful inscriptions. Each in its own way highlights the exceptional nature of the watch and by extension of the Rolex brand. Here we are here to help you decode this powerful statement. All right, so they're going to break it down exactly what these words mean. Now, oyster, when I'm telling you oyster means waterproof. Prophet, break it down. All right, let's break it down. Looks oyster. And look, right there on the front of the dial, nowhere it says waterproof, but it says oyster, perpetual date. That's another word we're going to get into, but for right now, oyster. It's telling you that it's waterproof. So, right here, right here, to begin with, the word oyster is a reminder that Rolex watches are water resistant. The company chose not to adopt the term waterproof used by a large number of competing brands that launched divers, watches on the market after the Second World War. Oyster is a concept that goes further than mere water resistance. It conveys the idea of an airtight, robust, and indestructible product. It is also a reminder of Hans Willdorf's seminal contribution to the development of a watch that was perfectly watertight, giving a historical dimension to the theme of excellence. Oyster is a concept that goes further than mere water resistance. It conveys the idea of an airtight, robust, and indestructible product. Right there, from the mouth of Rolex. So, we as Rolex collectors, we as men and women in the watch community, um, we have come to appreciate that a Rolex is waterproof, right? Water resistant, whatever. Um, so we believe as soon as you see a Rolex is waterproof, right? All Rolexes are waterproof. Not so, not so. The Rolex King Midas, for one, is not a waterproof watch. As a matter of fact, Elvis Presley, the king, had a King Midas, and it has water damage in the uh, in the dial because legend has it that he was in the hot tub with a few ladies and he got in wearing his King Midas, and that's where it got some water damage. So for one, and if you know the dial of a King Midas, you know that it doesn't say oyster on it. Yeah. So oyster actually means waterproof in the Rolex universe. Now, sure, it's got a dual meaning because we know this is the oyster bracelet, right? Which is actually just a bracelet. What do you mean waterproof bracelet? That doesn't make any sense. But now this is known as the oyster bracelet. But in the beginning, oyster just meant waterproof. And if your Rolex didn't say oyster on it, it wasn't a waterproof Rolex. There you go. The first word we had all wrong. Now, let's get to the second one. The second word on your dial, especially on the landlord watch or on a sports piece, right? Actually, right there on the cover, perpetual. What does perpetual mean? So a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, Prophet, a Rolex watch is an automatic watch." No, a Rolex is a perpetual movement watch. Oh, Prophet, those terms are synonymous. Well, not according to Rolex. Let's get into it. So we covered oyster, right? Waterproof. Okay. Oyster is a concept that goes further than mere water resistance. It conveys the idea of an airtight, robust, and indestructible product. All right. So let's move on to perpetual. Now, in the words of Rolex, Rolex watches are not automatic. Are not automatic, in quotations. Rolex watches are not automatic like those of the competition. From the very beginning, Rolex has separated itself from the competition. Rolex watches are not automatic like those of the competition, but rather perpetual. Perpetual meaning they are for eternity. Now let's read right from right from the magazine. The second great technical innovation that underpins the reputation of Rolex's technical excellence is the self-winding movement. This is represented by the term perpetual, not automatic, perpetual in the Rolex universe, perpetual. Here too, the brand intends to stand out from the competition, emphasizing the uniqueness of its products and its heritage. Its watches are not automatic like those of the competition, but rather perpetual. They are made for eternity. The self winding watch was launched in 1931 and continued to be improved, reaching a crucial stage in 1950 with the introduction of the reversing wheels that enabled bi-directional self-winding. It was also at this time, in the face of growing competition, that Rolex adopted an advertising strategy aimed at highlighting its expertise. So there you go. I mean, hey, this is not an automatic watch, it is perpetual movement. So just to break that down, what that means is you take your watch out of the box, you wind it, you wind your watch, you put it on your wrist, and you never have to rewind it, right? You put it down at night. It depends whether your watch, has 2 day power reserve, 3 day power reserve, whatever it is. But you pick it up in the morning, and your watch is still good to go because as you move with your watch, the watch winds itself. The watch winds itself. Can you call that automatic? Rolex doesn't call it automatic. Rolex calls it perpetual movement. So will it stop? Sure, it will. If you take it off, if you're a one watch guy, you don't have to worry about that. But if you rotate through a few pieces, more than one, you put it down for 2 days or so, 2, 3 days, depending on which watch you have. Um, when you pick it up, if it stopped, you got to rewind it for that day. But once you go about your day or you shake it up or whatever, you won't have to wind it again until you set it down for two 2 days or more. So yeah, that's what perpetual meant, man. For a long time, I had no clue what perpetual. I thought it was like the type of watch that meant like a sport watch or something. Uh, Also, oyster. I had no clue. I thought oyster just meant the bracelet. But now we know. Now we know, brother. What is this? Do I see a scratch on the landlord watch? No. Okay. Better not be no scratch on my babies. All right. So there we go. Oyster means waterproof. Number two, perpetual means not automatic, self winding, self winding. Rolex watches are not automatic like those of the competition, but rather perpetual. They are made for eternity. Mm, landlord watch. Well, it's befitting that they say these watches are made for eternity because this is something, with a little bit of care, is something that will definitely outlive you. So, yeah, here we go. All right, let's go on to the next one. Officially certified and superlative chronometer, tomatoes. I mean, this is self-explanatory, officially certified and superlative chronometer. So, that has to do with the Swiss rating, the cost rating, whatever. We're not really going to go into that. Let's just touch on it a little bit. The third expression of the technical excellence embodied by Rolex is the high precision of its watches. Shortly after the launch of the Rolex brand, Hans Wilsdorf and Hermann Egler set out to develop and produce watches with extreme precision. By participating in observatory competitions, this work quickly gained recognition. From 1913, the Egler watchmaking site submitted watches to the chronometric services of the Kew Observatory in the United Kingdom and the Nautile Observatory in Switzerland. And it goes on and on. Montreux's Rolex SA regularly took part in the world's four main chronometer competition organized by the Kew, France, Geneva, and Switzerland observatories. Rolex, blah, blah, blah. It decided to invest in a very specific aspect, meticulously fine tuning the movement to ensure extreme precision. Okay. Let's see. The watchmaker therefore used two separate bodies, the observatories and the routing centuries, which issued performance certificates following series of separate technical tests. In the absence of a consensus on the exact definition of what constituted a chronometer, i.e., high precision watch, the companies used these certificates in their advertising as proof of chronometry. It was not until 1952 that an agreement was reached at both the Swiss and international level. Oh, I see. So everybody rated watches differently. It wasn't like a universal thing. So it was the Swiss and everybody else, France, whatever, until 1952. So in 1952, an agreement was reached at both the Swiss and international level. The observatories and rating century tests were standardized, and these bodies became the only ones authorized to issue chronometer certificates. In 1973, they were merged into a new organization, the Swiss Official Chronometer Testing Institute, COST, for you and I in the watch world. Okay. So Rolex makes extensive use of the services offered by these institutes, which authenticate the high precision of its watches. It is now the company with the most applications submitted to the COST. Uh, and since the late 1940s, this has been communicated through the use of the officially certified inscribed on the dial. This is the best watch money can buy, man. This is the best watch money can buy, pound for pound, dollar for dollar. This is the best watch, all around watch money can buy. If you agree with me, put it in the comments below. All right, so now we cover that. Let's move on to the next one. Swiss made, which is on the bottom of your beautiful timepiece. The Swiss made label is a reminder of where the watches bearing the mark are produced. It is in no way specific to Rolex and is governed by legislation guaranteeing the origin of Swiss watches. However, it was not Swiss laws that led Swiss watch manufacturers to inscribe the country of origin of their watches on their dials, but laws passed in the United Kingdom and the United States at the end of the 19th century in the hope of supporting domestic industry. These two countries decided in 1887 and 1891, respectively, to identify the origin of imported products. The first watches to bear the Swiss made label were destined for the British market. Swiss watchmakers were quick to capitalize on the commercial potential of such an endorsement, with Swiss watchmaking enjoying an excellent reputation in the world market. And they still do today. That's crazy. Swiss watches are known, worldwide to be the best. And Rolex had a lot to do with all that. Rolex was there from the very beginning. So when you tell me about the Trinity, this and that, is Rolex, man. Rolex is it. Cheers to you, Rolex. Let's continue. Uh, so the Swiss wanted to write Swiss made on the bottom to let you know that they had a superior product. and the UK and the United States was trying to encourage domestic production. So, until the early 1960s, Swiss legislation prohibited the import of foreign timepieces, with a few rare exceptions from neighboring France and Germany. There was therefore no need to regulate the use of the Swiss made designation. However, the liberalization that followed the end of the watchmaking statutes between 1961 and 1965 led many manufacturers to relocate part of their activities to Asia. To guarantee the quality of Swiss watchmaking, which depends above all on the precision of the watch movement, Switzerland adopted the ordinance on the use of Switzerland or Swiss for watches in 1971. Not even that long ago. In particular, ordinance stipulates that the final assembly and more than half of the value of the movement's component parts must be produced in Switzerland. These criteria were updated following the coming into force in 2017 of the Swissness law, according to which 60% of the value of the entire watch must be made in Switzerland. Changes in the institutional context have had little impact on Rolex. The company has never offshored its production. Take that, the Trinity. This is the watch. Today, it produces virtually all of its components in-house. Handmade, baby. Handmade precision. Perfectly reflecting the concept of the Swiss-made manufacturer referred to on its dials. Who else can say that? Who else can say that? You rethinking the Trinity? Are you rethinking the Trinity? So, how many was that already? What we do? About 5 words already? Five, 6 words? How many words have we covered? You know what? 7 and 8. Rolex, Rolex. Man, it's the best watch money can buy. End of story. This watch here, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, is the best watch money can buy. At this price point, you can't beat it. Solid gold landlord watch. What else can I say, man? At this price point, for all this, sure, it's a lot of money. Some people say, it's not a lot of money. Most people will say it's a lot of money. Sure, it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of watch. It's a lot of watch for what you get. All right, that's it. That's today's video, everybody. I'm your host, Richard Prophet, and cheers, family. Again, I hope you have a lovely, happy, healthy, and prosperous new year. And wear your watches, baby. Wear your Rolexes, baby. The self-made man's watch. And woman, of course. All right. Cheers. Hey, ladies, even if your husband or your significant other buys you your Rolex, there's no great man without a great woman standing behind him. So, cheers to you, ladies. All right, that's it. I'm the 8. I'm the last dragon. This is the Solid Gold Landlord Watch, and I'm out, baby. Enjoy. Thanks for spending your New Year's Day with me. Cheers, family.